Hi everybody, I'm Lou Collins, and as many of you know, I have two dogs and I absolutely love to walk them in my local area. So I have got myself from Ordnance Survey a map of my local area so that I can create a wonderful personalised gift. Now I'm going to be keeping this for myself and I'm going to show you step by step how I've created this fantastic walking bag, complete with your area printed on it as well, and a pocket for something extra special, which I'll talk more about towards the end. So here's the template that's available for you to also use, and I have printed this off and I've made sure that I've printed off two of the first sheet. That's the front and back panels because we need to cut two of those. So at the moment here I've got all of my pieces already cut out, and the way I did this is by just roughly cutting out from the template and then using a repositionable or removable adhesive. This is a spray adhesive, and I've adhered each of my panels onto my map before cutting them out, and I've been really careful to ensure that for the front flap of the bag that the main part of the map that I want to feature is there in the center towards the curved edge. Now for each of the sections I have also cut a piece of really strong orange cardstock. I went with orange because the Ordnance Survey maps have an orange background, and I just thought it worked really nicely as an accent colour. And I'll also show you an additional thing I'm going to be doing with this bag later, which ties in with the orange too. So I've cut an additional panel for each one of my four pieces using the orange cardstock as well, and that's just going to strengthen the bag. Now you'll notice on the second page of the template that you've got edge panel, cut one strip 5 centimeters by 15 centimeters. This is the piece that's going to go around the bottom and up the sides of your bag, and this is what I've done here. This bit isn't really likely going to be seen, so it doesn't matter so much which part of a map you use. I have also backed this onto a strong cardstock too. So the first thing is to secure the front paper from the map onto the cardstock for each of my panels, and I'm doing this using a wet crafting glue. So this is my Scissors Express glue, but any wet glue you've got that you know bonds paper to paper or cardstock to cardstock really well will work. And I'm using quite a lot of glue here. This is going to be a bag that I'm going to take on my dog walks. I don't want it to be falling apart at all. Now I am going to also be stitching this too, for two reasons. A, that is also going to reinforce these edges for me and keep them secure, but it's also going to make the bag look a little more like fabric too. So now my map paper is stuck down to my orange cardstock, we can start constructing the bag. So this is going to be the front flap of my bag, the piece that folds over and keeps everything inside safe, secure and dry. Before I do any stitching on this, I'm actually going to take my Mod Podge in a mat and I'm going to go over the map paper side of all of these. This is going to be the outside of my bag, and just in case of a little bit of water, a little bit of rain or a short shower, I don't want the paper getting ruined. This is going to protect it. Now I would ideally do 2 or 3 coats of this. I've used a matte because I still want to keep that kind of fabric look to it rather than a glossy finish. So I'm going to go ahead and cover these in the Mod Podge. Because it's matte, you probably won't see any difference when I cover. So now they're all sealed, I'm going to turn over the top flap of my bag and work on the reverse, and I'm going to make a couple of marks. From the short straight edge, I'm going to mark myself 8 centimeters, which will take me to here, and also from the edge just 5 centimeters. So I've got 3 and 5, which equals 8, and again just down here. So just placing the 8 there on the edge of the page, mark that at 0 and mark that again at 3 there. Now if I run my ruler down and create these vertical lines, one and another one, just make sure that is nice and straight. I've now got myself a gap here of 12 centimeters, a gap here of 3 centimeters and a gap here of 5 centimeters. This is going to allow this part to be attached to the back of your bag, this part to come over, and then this part will come down the front. So now you want to take the piece that is your back panel, and if it's easier you can also write on it and write the word back, just so you know. And you're going to want to put the two together so that the orange is on one side, the map's on another, and the curves facing away from each other. So you've just got the top of your back panel coming to 5 centimeters in from that straight edge, like so. Now at the moment I'm going to glue things together, and then I'm going to do some stitching in just a little while. So I'm going to add some glue to this 5 centimeter piece here and place these two together. Now I'm going to take a scoreboard and make these lines score lines so they'll easily fold. So we want to go right up against the top of the back panel where we've just glued it, and then we want to also make another additional score line where the second pencil mark is. We should be able to now fold this down like so, and you can see how that will fold over, but when you turn your bag over, this part of the map is also facing the correct way round. Now this part, the Framlingham town, that's my town, that's where I live, so that's why I wanted this in the centre of this flap here at the front, and this is going to be the focal point. But I also needed to ensure that on this panel that it was down the bottom near these curved edges, as I said at the beginning. Before I go to my sewing machine, I also want to place inside my bag a pocket, and this is going to hold a special gift that I'm going to show you towards the end. So just here I've got the pocket, the inside pocket, and I'm just going to glue this around the edges, and this one is going to have the map facing on the inside of the bag. So I'm just going to run a thin line of glue around here and not on the straight edge at the top, and just adhere that down like so. Now in the sewing machine I'm going to be using a black thread for both the top and bottom thread, and I'm going to be using a straight stitch. So I'm going to go around the edge of this bag 1 centimetre in from the edge, and I can gauge that on my sewing machine. On the base I can put a piece of tape to make sure that I keep this to the same distance from the needle all the way round. Some machines already have a gauge on them. So I'm going to stitch all the way around the edge of this one. I'm then also going to stitch around the edge of this one as well, and the same with this one too. Before I go to my sewing machine, I want to do everything at the same time. So I'm now going to prepare my strap and stitch that into the side piece. So this side panel here, this is going to have the strap coming from either end, and it's going to be stitched on going into the bag, so onto the inside. I'm then also going to place a small piece of orange cardstock over the end and stitch around that to also secure my strap in. So the strap, or the handle, whichever you want to call it, I'm actually going to be making this from some Hessian ribbon that I had laying around because I really like it. It's a really good width as well. It's a little bit less wide than the bag's going to be, but not by much. So I'm going to be using this. Now with this, I want to double it up too, because as you can see, you can just about see through it. So I think it would be better if it's double the thickness. And the measurement I've taken is from my shoulder down to my hip where I want my bag to sit. I've doubled it, which gives me the overall length of the strap, and then I've also doubled it again to give me how much ribbon I'm going to need. So for myself, that was 70 centimeters from my shoulder to my hip, and then I've doubled that, give me an overall length of 140 centimeters. So when I get to the sewing machine, I'll be doubling up my ribbon and I'll be stitching around the edge just to secure this before I then stitch it each end onto the end of the side panel there. And as I say, I will also be stitching a piece of cardstock over the top to just make that nice and neat too. So now I've stitched around all the edges with a straight stitch anywhere I felt like I needed it to look like fabric. I've done the bottom and the sides of the bag as well, and I've done the strap, and as I suggested, I have also put an extra panel of cardstock over the ends of the ribbons so that they are all sealed in and enclosed. So now what we need to do is attach the front to the back using this side panel. Okay, I did make sure when I put my strap on that it was all straight so that when I hang it over my shoulder I don't have any twists in it. The first thing we need to do is find the halfway point in our side panel. So just folding it in half here, making a little pencil line, and we can do this on the orange as well. That will show up much easier on the orange. So that's my halfway point, and that's where it's going to need to go, halfway across my bag, which I'm now also going to measure. So this is 16 centimeters. So there's the 8 centimeter mark. So around there is halfway. Okay. So what I'm going to be doing is cutting around this curve on here. So I need to know where the curve starts and where the curve finishes. So by placing the halfway point of the strap against the halfway point of the bottom of the bag, I'm going to just mark where the curve starts, just there, and you can kind of roll the two together. Try not to let it slip, so let's do that again. Roll the two together, and there we go. And mark again where the straight part starts. So this part is going to be my curved area, and I'm going to do that on both sides. So where the curved area is going to be, I'm going to cut some lines into the edge, and I'm going to use the stitching as a guide, and I'm going to cut almost teeth as such into here, and these are going to help the edging just bend around the corner that it needs to. So I've got 4 areas to do this to, and on the rest of the strap you want to just fold the edges inwards, so you're folding against that stitching that you've done, which is why I suggested the stitching should be around about 1 centimeter in from the edge. So I'm going to use a wet glue again for this next part, but if you prefer, you can definitely be using something like a hot glue or even a super glue if you have it. So where I've just bent these score lines, I actually folded them in, but I want them folded outwards. So it doesn't matter, because you can make the cardboard more flexible by folding them in, out, until you've got that flexibility that you need to be able to work with them. And again, I'm going to use my center point as a guide, and I'm going to start by gluing to the bottom of the bag the side piece, the edge piece, just with the middles lining up, which is there. And I'm just going to do this straight bit first. Now at each stage of gluing this on, because I'm using a wet glue that takes a little while to dry, I'm going to wait for each part to dry before I go on to the next one. I don't want to be moving things around and disrupting things, and then another area breaks apart because I'm moving it too much. So I am going to take my time with this, just do it section by section. And once this bit's dry, I can then bend this corner around, and I can glue the rest of the strap all the way up to the top of the bag there, and the same on this side. So here is my finished Ordnance Survey personalised bag for going on dog walks, for trekking, whatever you want to. It's got light water resistancy because we added that coating on. I've put a magnet just inside here to keep the top down, and I've added a book ring so that I can hang my keys on there either inside or outside the bag, probably best on the inside. Now we've also got the pocket on the inside, and the reason for that is because Ordnance Survey also do personalized maps. These are so much fun. You can have your own photo on there, and on the inside, when you open this up, the center of the map, there we go, is my hometown, and my house is right in the middle. So this is all the places that I'm going to go walking with my dog. So although I've got my map on my bag, I've got my own little custom map that I can pop inside, and I've purposely made the pocket on the inside just the right size for fitting that in. I've got plenty of room in there for my phone, for my dog bags as well, anything else that I might need on a walk. That all clips shut with the magnet, and I've got this lovely long strap to pop over at my shoulder. I am absolutely thrilled with this. I'm going to be taking this on my dog walks for a very long time. I'm excited to get using it, and it's going to be the perfect gift for someone. If you're just not sure what to get them, you can go online to Ordnance Survey. You can order maps of your hometown, of your friends and your family's areas, and you can do a beautiful personalized gift just like this. I hope you've enjoyed this, a little bit different from me. Make sure you check out all the details for Ordnance Survey down in the description below, and let me know in the comments what you think of this bag and would you make something similar. Take care everybody, and I'll see you again very soon.